All right. Well, I want to welcome you to my sports career journey, 15-minute conversations with the industry's future. My name is Ron Roberts Jr., and I'm very excited to host this panel of students here. And for the last few months, I've been very fortunate to speak with a number of professionals in the sports industry and to have short interviews with them. And I thought it would be refreshing for me to actually talk to the future of the industry. So I have four students here that I'm going to spend about 15 minutes or so with. And so I want to first of all welcome Alexis Barriga, who is attending Cal State Long Beach. Next, we have Connor Reyes, who's a student at the University of Southern California. Garrett Seville at the University of California, Riverside. And then finally, Nicolette Rojo, who's with the University of San Francisco Sport Management Program. So welcome you all. And so I'm going to give the audience a chance to see you all fully. And so I'm going to ask each of you just to start off by sharing a little bit about the school you're attending, what you're majoring in, and if you happen to have one or more favorite sports. And so Nicolette, let's start with you.
Yeah, so hello, my name is Nicolette Rojo. I am a first-year graduate student at the University of San Francisco, as Ron mentioned. I just graduated from the University of La Verne this May, and now I'm studying sport management. Favorite sports, I do have multiple. My top one is basketball, just because I played that up until college. And I do enjoy American football. I do also enjoy baseball, soccer, and a little bit of hockey as well.
Good, good. So a broad interest in sports.
Yeah.
All right, terrific. And congratulations on graduating and starting anew with the sport management program.
Thank
All
you
right,
so
Garrett,
much.
certainly. Garrett, how about you?
So yeah, I go to the University of California, Riverside. I'm a political science and history double major. And my favorite sports right now, probably because they fluctuate, obviously, I'm really into the NBA, so basketball, football with the NFL, and then hockey with the NHL, and then sometimes MLS and MLB, but it depends on the day.
Okay, very good. And I have to give a shout out to political science. I was a political science major back in the day, so terrific. All right, Connor, how about you?
Yeah, I'm Connor. I'm a junior at the University of Southern California Marshall School of Business, and my two favorite sports are basketball and baseball.
Okay, great. So we definitely have a basketball theme in there. And then Alexis, how about you?
Yeah, hi everyone. My name is Alexis Barriga. I go to Cal State Long Beach. I'm a first-year graduate student of the sports management program, and some of my favorite sports right now are basketball, soccer, and rugby.
Okay, terrific. All right, so it's obvious that you all have a love for sports and have probably played to a certain degree, but there are lots of career options out there. So why an interest working in sports? And let's start with you, Alexis.
Yeah, so, I went through a lot growing up as a kid, so kind of sports were always like my escape. And so I know for a lot of kids, even now, that's something that is an escape for them. So I really want to go into like community relations, being able to impact communities, being able to impact youth. And that's really kind of just what drew me, into sports is I want to be able to do what I was able to do for as a kid. I want to be able to do that for other kids as well. So those experiences and just making those memories for them. So
terrific. And I appreciate you wanting to make an impact and thinking back on your own experiences and just feeling the need to make an impact on others. Great. Connor, how about you?
So much like any other kid, I've always wanted to be in the NBA or in the NFL. But once I realized I was never going to grow past 5'10", I realized I should find another position inside sports. And once I realized that being in sports was like an obtainable job for me, it really allured me in because I would love to work behind the scenes to see like what my favorite sports teams and how these franchises operate behind the curtain. And I just love being a part of team of all my time playing sports. And I just would love to be a great team player helping out a sports team.
Very nice. All right, Garrett, how about you?
I think for me, my biggest thing is like, I want to do something I love. I don't want to be stuck at a job that I don't like. I want a career path that I can really enjoy. So my favorite hobbies right now is like playing sports, watching sports, video games, fantasy football, fantasy sports. Like that's all I do in my free time. So why not try to make a career out of it? Why not have some fun in life? So yeah, I want to do something that I love. And even though it's probably, a lot of people say, oh, it's not realistic. Like I'm going to make it realistic. It's going to be my goal, and I'm not going to stop until I'm doing something that I love.
I love that tenacity and that determination too. And I'm a big believer that you can have a job you love. I personally have experienced that as well. And it's just a matter of making it happen, finding that match. So definitely kudos to you for that, Garrett. And Nicolette, how about you?
Yeah, so similar to Connor, I grew up playing basketball and sports throughout my life. I would have loved to gone to the WNBA when I was younger, but then when I got into high school, I did not grow. I grew a little bit in college. I'm 5'6.5", so a little short for T1 or WNBA. So I knew, okay, that's not realistic. But I always figured, just because I always want to say, oh, I made it to X, Y, and Z, I made it to the pros, or even just collegiate athletics and working in collegiate athletics. That still technically means you made it to the pros. Just because you're not physically playing doesn't mean you're not literally in it. So, and I figured, just and similar to what Garrett said, I've always been a type of person who I never saw myself working a 9-to-5 job. Nothing wrong with them. I think they're good. I think corporate's cool and everything. But of course, I don't mind a 9-to-5 shift here and there, but I always like working in something different. I don't want to work something that's the same every day, because it does get a little tiring. And I know, and I've had friends personally lately, and even a couple of family members, where they're saying, but you're not going to have a life. Where are you going to have time for this? Are you going to have time for that? And I do know the sacrifices, and I recognize, and especially after doing a lot of informational interviews in grad school and senior year of college, that it doesn't matter what the salary is, it doesn't matter what you do. If you go into work and it doesn't feel like it's work, of course we have those days where it's tough, but if you go into work every day and it doesn't feel like it, and you have a lot of fun, I'll take that over something that I'm not going to really enjoy. And that's why I really want to get into sports, primarily storytelling, because my undergrad degree is in communications. And I do feel storytelling, especially with the pandemic now, has what resurrected sports, especially with social justice. And that's when I knew with social justice that I want to pursue the industry, because sports media was what I wanted to get into, at least journalism wise. But then unfortunately, I saw how social justice actions are sort of limited for many reasons that I do understand. But I feel, and I always say this to my family and friends, the sports industry is one of those, and one of the few, if not only, industry where you get that team feeling and that everyone is there for a reason. Yes, there's always those instances where stuff happens, or a coworker, like anywhere else, but that's where I feel the most cohesive. And I'm just like what Garrett said, I'm not going to stop until it happens.
Good stuff. Lots of good stuff there too. And so I really like Nicolette, much like Garrett, you want your work experience to be fun, to be enjoyable. And certainly I appreciate that you and Connor, recognizing that maybe you weren't going to actually have a career as an athlete, that didn't stop you from trying to find your own way into sports. So very good. All right. So you all obviously have a real passion and love for sports. And so I wanted to ask you just to briefly tell me, what have you done so far, if anything, to really prepare yourself for a full-time career in sports? And let's start with.
Yeah. So right now, obviously with COVID, it's kind of hard to kind of put myself out there. So kind of what I've been doing is really taking advantage of LinkedIn. So kind of like Nicolette, doing those informational interviews, just making those connections, building those relationships. And it's definitely just has taken me out of my comfort zone. So getting more comfortable just with, with talking with people and stuff. So, and maybe in the future, next year, that could possibly lead to an opportunity. So I'm definitely excited for that.
Good. Shout out for LinkedIn. I'm glad you mentioned that. And thank you for reminding me. I meant to mention when Nicolette mentioned informational interviews. So good that you both recognize the value of that. All right. And Connor, how about you?
I've done basically the same thing as Alexis. With all of the free idle time that I have, I've just decided to reach out to people on LinkedIn in the sports industry. I started off with USC alumni because I feel like they would be more inclined to help other USC students. And then once I got more comfortable talking to people, I just I just looked up random people and I'm like, oh, wow, this person is doing something interesting. I would like to hear about their job. And I would message them. And then I would just set up little Zoom coffee chats with people in the morning. And it's just a great way to build my network and cultivate a lot of relationships with people around the sports industry.
Very nice, Connor. Thank you. That networking. And I love those Zoom coffee chats. Great. Garrett, how about you?
So in the spring, obviously when the pandemic occurred, I was kind of thinking this isn't how I wanted to spend my junior year, the end of my junior year in college. So I kind of buckled down and started looking at my transcript and everything. And then I decided that I was going to do a double major instead of just my single major. And then I figured that wasn't enough. So then I went to my career center on campus and started communicating with her, with the advisor at the career center. And she actually connected me to that Your Summer Playbook conference that we attended in, I want to say August. And then from there, I've just been bouncing around from conference to conference to conference, adding everyone on LinkedIn, doing one-on-one interviews, just utilizing all my resources. Even though I'm stuck in my room, I'm still trying to do as much as I can so that when the pandemic does eventually end, I'll have somewhat of a leg up over other people that decided not to take advantage of the time they had.
Key thing, great use of your time. Kudos to you for using your career center. I'm a big fan of career centers, and I'm glad that it opened up some doors for you and that you've since taken that and you've expanded on it, attending the conferences as you mentioned. It's great stuff. And Nicolette, how about you? What have you done so far to prepare yourself?
Yeah, so much similar to everyone else here. My March, when the pandemic first hit in March, it was definitely not how I imagined to end my senior year or head into grad school. But I tell this to my cohort, my family, and my friends, the silver lining of the pandemic is that, similar to what Garrett said, I'm able to go to these conferences that not that I wouldn't be able to go to, but it'd be a lot harder. For example, a couple of weeks ago, I went to the University of Michigan, Ann Arbor hosted MSBC conference. And traditionally that's obviously held in Ann Arbor, which in a regular world, not that I wouldn't be able to attend, but it would be a lot harder because of costs. I had to find a hotel and flights. And while I do look forward to doing that in the future, it was nice to kind of save some of that time. And even though I'm in my house or my apartment, I'm able to attend that for free or little cost, some more cost efficient. And I'm able to network with these professionals, especially because a lot of times in our grad program, they always emphasize, especially when you're from LA, everyone wants to work for the Lakers. Of course, I do too, hence the jersey in the back. Everyone wants to work for the Lakers, the Rams, the Chargers, etc. But a good thing that they taught us is expand your network to other states as well. So that's why I've been, and also helps you get used to this new world where I get up a lot earlier, which I did so in undergrad, but not for networking reasons. And now I value that because, and a perfect example was in Michigan. Their start times are a conference just like the summer playbook, usually around this time. For me, that means I'm up at 7 a.m. So you get used to that time change. And my internships right now, they're all remote. And they're also located back east, except for another one I'm doing with the Rose Bowl that's local. So you get used to those time changes, which Zoom has already been something and WebEx before the pandemic. And thankfully one of my classes in undergrad did teach us about that before the pandemic hit, not knowing this would be our daily lives. And it's not going away anytime soon. So I've just been networking like everyone else has been doing. I've been going to those conferences, setting up those informational interviews. Like I have one, for example, at 2:00 today with the SVP of the Seattle Kraken, which I met through the MSBC. So just doing little things like that, because a lot of times I hear on conferences as well is one question HR managers or hiring managers are going to ask is, what have you been doing during the pandemic? Which I've actually already gotten that for one interview. So even just LinkedIn Learning, or even just those little courses or certificate programs, just something that could put myself over others, because eventually when those and everything opens up, it's going to be very competitive. So I'm just basically doing what I can to stand out.
Great stuff. Great stuff. All right. So we're wrapping up, and so I'm going to ask you just a two-part question and just sort of rapid fire. So name one or maybe two people who've been influential to you, just real quick, and then how you feel you can best contribute to the industry. And let's mix it up. Let's start with Connor.
Yeah, well, Ron, you already know this person. It's Professor Jeffrey Fellenzer, who teaches business and media class at USC. And I actually met him when I even wasn't a student of him. I needed just advice on whether I should take a position with the USC football team. And ever since then, he sort of served as like a mentor for me. Whenever I need help or I need to talk to somebody, he's always willing to help me and connect me with them. And so he's definitely been the most helpful person along my journey thus far. And what was the second question again?
How you feel you can best contribute to the sports industry.
I feel like I can best contribute to the sports industry and my passion and desire to work in a team. I believe that I'm a great team player, and I'm just willing to learn from other people, to learn what their skills and information, so I can make the best of myself to help not only the team, but the company that I'm working for. And I feel like my adaptable and passionate personality will help me thrive in the sports industry and contribute beneficially to any team I'm a part of.
Terrific. All right, Nicolette, I'm sorry, real quick. So someone who's been influenced to you and how you feel you can best contribute to the industry.
Yeah, so two people I can think of at the top of my head. One of them is Ned Coletti, who I met through your summer playbook program, and he's definitely been help. We text every so often. Just I ask him for advice. We hop on a call. He invited me to a few of his quick webinars that are coming up this month and in December. And then another one, not specific person, but just a big shout out to the University of San Francisco's sport management program, specifically all my professors, but especially Dr. Brent von Forsmeyer and Ashley Sloper. Those are my directors, and they've just been so helpful. They've helped me network even with other local programs as well, including Cal State Long Beach's program. And I can be beneficial to the sports industry because I have a very good team. Teamwork is one of my core values, and I'm big on collaboration, diversity, and I have a very passionate and bubbly personality, so that can really benefit any area in the industry, whether it's a team, agency, etc.
Great stuff. All right, and Alexis, how about you?
Yeah. So right now, I'd say probably like all of my professors at Cal State Long Beach have been amazing, and just everyone that I've been networking with. Honestly, I couldn't just pick one person just because I learned something different from everyone, and this is a time of learning for me, and I'm going to continue to learn. So, but yeah, how I feel like I can contribute to the sports industry is kind of going back to that impact. Like I want to serve communities. I want to serve as many youth and families as I can, throughout the duration of my career in sports. So that once I look back at my career one day, I just want to see it's not like, oh, how much money did I have, or, what did I accomplish, house-wise or anything like that. It's like, did I leave the kind of impact I wanted, in these families, in these communities, and with these youth. So.
Terrific. All right, and Garrett, last but not least, how about you?
Honestly, my biggest shout out and the person that's helped me the most is the Career Center at my school. My advisor, Kristen Roberts, has helped me every step of the way. Cover letters, resumes, finding me this session, which led me to all these networking events. Without her, I probably wouldn't be in this call right now. She's led me just benefited my future career path. And that's probably the person that I would say has helped me the most. Obviously, like Professor Fellenzer as well. I've connected emails through basically everyone from that summer playbook. I think Erica Singal led me to another conference and then another conference. So that was awesome. But yeah, I think the Career Center, something I never took advantage of on campus for 3 years. I finally took advantage of the end of my junior year, and it paid off tremendously. In regards to how I'd benefit the sports industry, I honestly think like the tenacity and the perseverance of my attitude, I I'm no stranger to failure. I don't treat failure as a time to just like stop and quit. I kind of use that as a lesson every time. So for every step of the way, whenever I felt like something's too challenging or I'm not good enough for something, I just regroup, give it another stab later on. And again, just tenacity. If I put my mind to something, I'm unstoppable.
That is awesome. You guys, great stuff. I've enjoyed this conversation. You brought out so much. And to me, you both are all of you are stars in the making. And so I'm excited about what lies ahead for you. So shout outs to obviously Professor Fellenzer. I love the love that you guys are giving him. And also Kristen Roberts in the UCR Career Center. They have a great team over there as well. So thank you, Alexis and Connor and Nicolette and Garrett, so much for spending this time with me. And I definitely wish you all well in your respective journeys into sports. And I look forward to staying in touch.